Thank you for tuning in to the Workforce Recruitment Program, also known as WRP, for the USC Career Center. My name is Malika Samtani. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I'm the advisor of internships and diversity programs, and I'm also the coordinator for WRP here at USC. I'm going to be briefly going over the WRP program, as well as discussing some of USC's resources to help you prepare for the program, and then also just talk about the process for students interested in participating in WRP. So what exactly is WRP? So WRP is in partnership with the U.S. Department of Labor and Department of Defense as an opportunity for students with disabilities to be connected to jobs and internships in the federal government and select private sector employers. The best way to think of WRP is a database where students and recent alumni with disabilities can submit their resume, job and location preference through this portal to be connected to jobs and internships. It is not a specific job, internship, or role that you're applying to, but rather a way to get your name out there as well as relevant application materials as an interested candidate in the federal government. Some of the goals of WRP are to bring students with disabilities into the employment process, both through their schools and contacts with WRP employers, to also function as a pipeline to bring new talent into the federal government and fill mission critical jobs, and also break down attitudinal barriers in the workplace, which also aligns with October being National Disability Employment Awareness Month. So some important dates to know for WRP is that the student registration has been open since Monday, August 30th. And the WRP process is a two-part registration process. First is the registration, which will close on October 8th. So the registration process is for students to just provide their name, contact info, and that they attended a school that's participating in WRP. For USC students and alumni, you would select USC. Once you submit your registration, the WRP coordinator, so myself, will be going in and verifying that you meet the qualifications to apply for WRP. And once you meet the qualifications and are accepted into WRP, that's when you get access to complete the application. And the application is due on Wednesday, October 13th. So what you need to do as part of your application is submit your resume, your USC transcript, and completed application, which will include your job and location preference. Then later in October, candidates have an opportunity to do an optional informational interview with a federal employee to talk about their time in the federal government, things to expect, things that students can do to set themselves apart. So this is optional for students, but it's a great way to get insights into the federal government by talking to somebody currently at a federal agency. And then the database is then released to employers in mid-December 2021. And WRP stays open for an entire year. So when you submit into the database for the 2021 year, it will stay active until December 2022 for jobs or internships. So now who can participate? So again, USC students and recent graduates with disabilities. Then there's some specific criteria. So you must be eligible for the Schedule A hiring authority for persons with disabilities, which I'll talk about more in the next few slides, and also be a US citizen. You also, if you're a current student, have to be a full-time degree-seeking post-secondary undergraduate, graduate, or PhD student, unless you're taking a reduced course load due to a disability, the pandemic, or in their last term or semester. If you have questions about this, you can always email me. I'll provide my contact info at the end of this session, but those are really the only requirements. And for recent grads, if you have just graduated USC, you must have completed your degree on or after April 1st, 2019 in order to be eligible. So they do allow recent graduates of a university to apply so long as you graduated from a school that participates in WRP and it is either on or after April 2019. So now what is Schedule A? So as part of the requirements for WRP, students have to be able to be hired under Schedule A. So Schedule A is a hiring mechanism for people with disabilities that allows them to be quickly hired into the federal workplace. So it has many benefits for the federal government, but as well as for candidates. And it's a really short letter that's needed to be provided by a medical practitioner, and I'll talk more about that later on. And it can be any type of disability that falls under the category of intellectual, psychiatric, or severe physical disability. And to be hired, you have to be able to provide this letter to HR. So what this means is, as being a part of WRP, or if you're applying to any role in the federal government, there may be a chance that after you are extended a job offer, so you've been formally given the offer, HR might ask for you to provide that Schedule A letter. So the reason why it's part of this process for WRP is because if you are given an interview for an internship and you do the interview and you accept the offer and they ask for your Schedule A letter and you don't have it, you don't want them to not give you the opportunity because you don't have this letter. So we want our candidates to be prepared to seek this letter. So how this works more specifically for WRP is that when you're completing the registration, you are certifying that you're eligible for the Schedule A hiring authority. And then once I receive your registration, I also confirm via email that you're able to obtain the Schedule A letter. And it's not part of the application process, which means you do not have to upload it to your portal. We just want you to be prepared to provide it in case HR requests it if you're given an offer through WRP or a federal agency. And you don't, again, have to upload it to the website. It's not going to be provided at any earlier part of the application. It is recommended by WRP to have it on file by January 2022, just in case by the time the database opens, you'll have it ready to go. So who can provide a Schedule A letter? So Schedule A is a document that must be on letterhead of the organization that this individual is a part of, and they have to be either a licensed medical professional, a licensed rehabilitation professional, or any federal or state agency that issues or provides disability benefits. And the letter does not need to detail your specific disability, medical history, or need for an accommodation. I actually have provided the sample Schedule A letter on the next slide. So as you can see, it has the letterhead at the top. It also includes the date of this letter. So another thing about a Schedule A letter is that as long as the letter is from an individual who is still in practice, can still be contacted by the information on the letter does not expire. So it's okay if you have a letter from maybe a few years ago or earlier this year. It's just important that the individual who writes the letter is still able to be contacted and is still a licensed medical professional or a licensed rehabilitation practitioner. College students, you sometimes don't have a specific medical practitioner because you're through your school's insurance. So a lot of students, you can always check by going to Ingaman and seeing if they can provide that licensed medical Schedule A letter by one of their doctors. Another thing to note is you cannot go to OSAS for this letter. We recommend going to Ingaman first or talking to maybe your primary care physician to help you write this letter. And it's quite short what's included. It just will include to whom it may concern. This letter serves as certification that your name has some type of disability under one of those categories that we discussed, physical, intellectual, or psychiatric, and that qualifies them for consideration under the Schedule A hiring authority, and then the medical practitioner's contact info. So very short. All these resources are also available on WRP's website. So if you needed to also provide a sample to an individual, you can go ahead and download the sample on their website. So now how the registration process works. So again, WRP is in 2 different registration processes. So for the first part, students are going to have to register as part of the student registration process on the WRP website. So what's really nice about WRP is that even if you've done the program before, you're going to have to reapply again. But the great thing about that is that if you have new internships, jobs, things on your resume, you get to have that fresh start. So every time you want to apply for WRP, which will be once a year, you're going to have to create a new student registration. So you'll visit the WRP.gov website. It's recommended to do this on a computer, specifically on Chrome or Firefox, and not your mobile device. Because you're going to be inputting information, it's much easier to do it on a computer. And then you're going to go ahead and click the Students Registration Open Now button, as well as then the green Students Register Now in order to start the registration process. Then after you click that registration button, You're going to complete the rules of behavior, agreement, and then the registration forms, which will include your name, preferred email, a secondary email, and then what school you attended. One thing to note is that if you're a current USC student, please use your @usc.edu email address. And if you're an alum, you can use your alumni email or another email that allows us to contact you, whether it's a personal email or your current work email. A work email is much better as a secondary email. We recommend picking an email that is something that you can be primarily contacted, even if you were to leave that job. And then what I do is I get an email every time a new student registers for WRP. I'll follow up with you to let you know who I am, and as well as confirm that you're eligible to participate under the Schedule A hiring authority. Once I get that approval, I will create your account so that you can start the application process. And then after you log in for the first time, that's when you'll begin the new student application process. So what's included on the WRP application? So it's going to ask for your identification and contact information, name, email, current address, things like that. It's also going to ask for your resume, and I'll talk a little bit more about resume, but we have a lot of great resources here at USC that you can use to update your resume so that you're sending in a resume that really highlights all your experiences and skills needed for the role that you want to go into. You're also going to need a transcript. So you don't have to provide an official transcript. You can just save your STARS report, and that will be appropriate to upload as a PDF. Then you're going to include academic information, including your major, degree, GPA, when you're set to graduate. Then job and location preferences. So on the WRP website under knowledge, which are the different resources available to candidates, you're going to be able to view all the different job categories that are typically part of the WRP application, as well as locations. And this is really important because a federal agency can be anywhere in the world, like US, and even some are outside of the United States. And you can select as many locations as you want across the 50 states, outside of the US. And if you're really not keen on moving somewhere, let's say you're not keen on moving to Alaska, don't write that you're open to moving to Alaska. Really be intentional with the locations that you're open to working in. Then it's also going to ask for your disability category, but it's only for statistical purposes and not shown to employers. Then optional. So if you wanted to, you can provide a cover letter, a letter of recommendation, a writing sample, if you think it would enhance your application. Again, the reason why it's optional is because WRP is not applying to a specific role at an agency or a specific internship within the federal government. It is very general. So cover letters are normally tailored to whatever opportunity you're trying to pursue. So I would say it's not necessary to provide a cover letter. However, maybe a letter of recommendation from a professor in a specific field will align with the job preference that you want. So that might be worth uploading. Or if you're trying to pursue a role where writing is a skill set needed to thrive in the role, you can provide that writing sample. So it's really up to you. It's not going to be docked against you if you do not include these optional documents. You do, however, need to upload your resume. And lastly, just as a note to be mindful of, do not upload any information that contains your social security number, date of birth, or other sensitive or personally identifiable information or health information. Really, this is a database. Your resume, your transcript should all speak for itself, and you do not have to put anything that makes it identifiable to you. And definitely don't put your date of birth on any document, specifically your resume. So these are some of the resume questions that we get. So because this is a program for federal agencies, students sometimes ask, do I need a federal resume? Which tends to be 4 to 5 pages. You have to have every qualification needed in the job. The answer is no. Because WRP, again, is a general database, you do not need to have a federal resume. However, if you decide to look on USA Jobs and apply to roles in the future, you might need to have a federal resume, which highlights every role that you've had. You must meet every qualification in the job description. It's typically much lengthier. But really what we're looking for is the regular one-page resume that we always advise students to have as a student at USC. So some of the notable sections include the headline, which includes your name, contact info, maybe a LinkedIn profile, phone number. Then you would include your education section. And remember, with your education, your work experience, leadership, project experience, all that information is going to go in reverse chronological order, with the most recent experience being listed first. So for education, if you just graduated USC with your bachelor's degree, or you're currently pursuing your degree at USC, that will go first underneath the education heading. Then you can also include a skills section. So these could be things like languages, software, technical skills, social media platforms, instruments, whatever can be shown as a skill that you have, you can list up there. Then it's very common to have a work experience, an internship experience, just a general experience section of places maybe you volunteered at or worked or interned, and write about the actual experiences and action bullet points that you did in that role. So for example, if you worked at a restaurant as a hostess, you can talk about seating individuals at the restaurant in specific sections, talking on the phone with different individuals to make reservations, communicating with like chefs, whatever it may be. Those are going to be those action bullet points within your resume. And the one thing to note about the resume you upload to WRP, it should only be one page. Really, when a resume is more than one page, is if you're pursuing a higher degree, like a PhD or even a master's, where maybe you've had teaching experience or you have published research, that you're going to need that extra space. But if you're an undergrad student trying to find an internship for the summer, or it's your first full-time job, we still recommend only having a one-page resume of the most relevant information for that industry you want to go into for WRP. The other thing to know about WRP too is that the resume that you upload by October 13th does not have to be the only resume that you have on the platform. Let's say come February, you do a really cool project in one of your classes, and that experience is going to help you a lot in your job search. You can swap out the resume that you uploaded in October to a resume that is more updated to what you're currently working on. So you're able to swap out your materials. So just remember that you can do that on the portal. And then some USC resources to highlight. So if you wanted some help with your resume, practice interviewing, or you're just not sure what industry you want to go into, I just wanted to highlight a few that are available to current USC students. For alumni, you can contact our office and we can set you up with an appointment. So the first resource that's available is career advising. So we have both in-person and virtual options. So if you're looking to just get your resume reviewed, maybe go over a cover letter, ask a quick question, we have drop-ins every Monday through Friday from 12 to 3 p.m. No appointment is necessary, just first come, first serve. And you can do that either in person at the Student Union 110, or you can do it online on a platform called Brazen. And all this information is on our website, which is just careers.usc.edu. And then if you needed a longer scale appointment, which is really great if you need to talk about, you know, what interests you, the skill sets that you have, how to translate those skills to the job search process, I would recommend making a scheduled 30-minute appointment. I will note that typically the 30-minute appointments are not for resume reviews, so you should either consider attending a drop-in, whether it's in person or virtual, or try the Smart Resume tool that I'll talk about shortly. So then some of the platforms that we have are available via Connect SC, which is USC's job and internship search platform, and it's also where we house all of our resources and how you can sign up for events. So the first resource that is on Connect SC that's really great is Connecting Majors to Careers. What can I do with this major? So just like the title, what it helps students do is figure out what your major could be translated to career-wise. So let's say you're a business major, and business can do so many different things. You can write business within Connecting Majors to Careers and see all the different paths that you could pursue with a business major and see what skills are needed, recommended industries, experience that are needed, and it can give you a better insight into what industry might align with what you're interested in. Another similar tool to Connecting Majors to Careers is ONET Online. So ONET is like Connecting Majors to Careers, but instead of doing it by the entire major to industry, it does it based on occupation. So let's say you really want to be a lawyer. You can go on ONET and write lawyer, and it's going to show all the different types of lawyers, what's typically involved in the role, recommended skill sets, and you get that information based on the occupation, which is also really helpful. Then VMOC Smart Resume. So this is a great tool if you're looking to update your resume. Maybe you like to work late at night or on the weekends. So VMOC is an AI-based resume feedback platform where you upload a resume and the system will go line by line to give you feedback on your resume on ways to improve. So I highly recommend using VMOC, even if you decide not to apply for WRP, but just in general, as you prepare for jobs or internships, it's a really great tool to make sure your resume is in the best shape to be sent out for a job or internship. Lastly, we have big interviews. So the informational interview is much more casual than a formal interview when an organization invites you for a job or internship interview. So it can sometimes be a little bit scary. So the best thing to do to kind of combat some of the fears with interviewing is to practice. So a big interview allows you to practice common interview questions, but also industry-based questions. So if you were to log online, you'd be able to practice some of the most common behavioral questions, or maybe questions you might get if you're pursuing a position at a law firm. And you can answer them and practice them and see what are the best ways to answer these questions so that you can make it further along in the interview process and also speak with some confidence too. So highly recommend Big Interview and all these different tools that USC offers. So now with the optional informational interview. So all candidates will be able to meet with a federal government employee and do a 30 to 40-minute informational interview via phone. This is an opportunity to have a conversation where you can ask career advice and learn about the federal service. You can ask some general questions about your resume and the application, and the recruiter will be able to provide some general suggestions. And it really is your chance to really get insights from someone in a federal career and ask them how you could potentially succeed on a career path within a federal agency. What is important to note about the informational interview is that it's important to prepare ahead of time. So we recommend to create a list of general questions to ask the recruiter about federal service, career advice, and to practice these questions. What's good is if it is going to be a phone interview, you're going to be able to have the questions written down and think about maybe 4 to 5 questions that are worth asking the federal recruiter during the time that you're on the phone with them. Then you want to review your resume with us or one of our tools like VMOC, Smart Resume, before uploading it to WRP. There could be a chance that the federal recruiter reviews it ahead of time and might give you some feedback, or you can ask some questions about your resume directly to them. And then be prepared to answer any questions related to your academic career or extracurricular experiences. So if you've done something that's relevant to the field you want to go into, you should be ready to answer some questions about that. And also be able to highlight any successes and discuss how you solve problems. When you're doing an informational interview, it's not just you asking questions to the individual, it's going to be a dialogue back and forth. You may ask a question of them, they're going to give their insights, and then you're also going to be able to talk about how that relates to you, how that relates to what you want to do. So it goes back and forth. It's not just you ask questions, they answer, and then you keep asking questions. You want to keep it like a fluid dialogue. And then lastly, another way to prepare is to research federal careers and agencies. So the reason why we say this, the recruiter could be in an agency that's not exactly in the field you want to go into or not exactly in the agency that interests you. So it helps to just know a little bit more insights ahead of time because they might be able to provide some more guidance, but they can't speak fully to the entire industry. So again, be flexible in your questions as well. Some sample questions that WRP has provided for candidates are the following. So what new skills have you developed as a professional? What do you wish you had known before you started out in this industry? What was your undergraduate major relevant to your current position? That's a great question. And then anything else that you think is going to help you be more knowledgeable of the federal recruiting process, pursuing work in the federal agency, and just any insights that will make you more confident as a candidate. So then after the interview, so the interview period will be mid-October to mid-November. Once that is done, the WRP database does open to different federal agencies in December 2021. You want to make sure to keep all your WRP application and contact info up to date because the database will be open all year. As a reminder, you can edit your application documents even after submitting. So if you want to swap out your resume, provide a new email, you'll be able to do so. And then again, WRP is not a guarantee of employment, and we encourage you to pursue other avenues in addition to WRP. So if you're still looking for a job or internship, you should 100% still participate in on-campus recruiting, attend career events, apply to jobs on ConnectSC and other portals, because WRP is not a guarantee of employment. It's another way to get your name out there, get your application out there, but it's not a guarantee of you getting hired. And then lastly, as the database opens, we want to make sure you're prepared for how employers will contact you. So employers will contact candidates directly, either by email or phone. Our office, myself, or WRP will not be tracking the status of your application. And then they might start contacting you as early as January and will continue through June for summer internships or part-time jobs, and up to 1 year for permanent jobs. And then if you're contacted with a job or interview offer, get the person's contact information, ask about the location of the position, the job title and job duties. Just in general, whenever you're given an opportunity for a job offer or an interview offer, get all the details in writing so that everything is clear and you know what those expectations are. So that is the overview of WRP. If you have any questions, you can contact me at msantani@usc.edu. Wishing you all the best and fight on.